My question to KATAANG is, why are we focusing on Aang's desire and not Katara's chemistry with each guy? This Southern Raiders episode that is every Zutara shipper's #1 claim to fame is actually my biggest claim to fame as to why KATAANG is better than Zutara. Okay, a lot of this is going to be opinion, but here's my opinion on why I think KATAANG is better than Zutara for Katara. As a multi-shipper who wouldn't have minded Zutara for the first half of my life and has recently seen the light of KATAANG. So I have no hate to Zutara shippers, by the way. But saying that Zuko's the only other one that takes responsibility off of Katara's shoulders is not true in my, not objective opinion. I don't think that has validity. At first, Aang is a little kid, but by the end, he's very adult and makes lots of decisions, in my opinion. Too adult for a 12-year-old, honestly. We also have to remember that we're talking endgame for the rest of their lives, not just in their teenage, young child years. KATAANG is good considering that they're gonna be adults someday and have kids someday, right? Zutara's biggest stance is the Southern Raiders episode, where Zuko took Katara to get the vengeance that she needed, that he understood her dark side better than Aang. And while that has a bit of truth to it, and I do see that argument, here's my counter to it. At just 12 years old, Aang was so peaceable in this conversation. Granted, in that moment, maybe what Katara needed was to feel understood, and in that case, Zutara does take the cake there. But let's be real, Aang was right. He was right overall in the fact that revenge is never the answer. Also, if you rewatch that scene with fresh eyes, Zuko's very frustrating. Zuko's my favorite character, and he frustrates me a lot in that scene. Every, really profound, powerful thing that Aang is saying, Zuko says stuff like, "That's cute, but this isn't Air Temple Preschool." And Aang says, "You should forgive," and he says, "That's the same as doing nothing." And then Aang, at 12 years old, redirects with, "No, it's easy to do nothing, but it's hard to forgive." Oh, and then Katara says, "It's not just hard, it's impossible." And this show's just so good, but that's not the point. The point is, Zuko came from a very hostile environment, and just because he changed to a good guy doesn't mean all of his toxic traits are gone. He also says to Aang, "Okay, we'll be sure to do that, guru goody goody." Whereas Aang is very sweet, that entire scene. And kind of, in my opinion, Zuko's feeding into the worst parts of Katara, the parts that we all have and should figure out how to deal with, but he fires it up. I don't think it's a good thing. Aang, however, says to her, "You need to face this man, but when you do, I encourage you not to take out your revenge on him." So he does see that dark side of her and does acknowledge that she does need to see him, but he comes at it in such a way of understanding and knowing her in a way that Zuko just doesn't. In the long run of their entire lives, Katara and Aang are much more compatible than Zuko and Katara. Zuko and Katara are more like enemies to lovers, tropey in a way that people love. But if we're being 100% real, if we were in the real world, Katara should pick Aang for the longevity of her happiness. And if we're talking chemistry, she has plenty of it with Aang. If we're talking, think of the episode where they do the dancing party. Sorry, she's totally jealous, and they have such good chemistry as they dance. Aang is 12 years old. He's way too young for us to be making a dead set decision that she should be with Zuko forever because their chemistry's better. He's 12. When they're 20s, 30s, their chemistry's gonna be just fine. Trust me. Again, absolutely no hate to Zutara shippers, as I hear you, I get you, and if it had ended that way, I would have learned to like it just the same. In fact, I would have appreciated it more most of my life.